Yo! What is good, Sixer Nation? Welcome on in to another edition of Philly Take with RB. Back again, the drama never stops. The news flooding in. After the Sixers fire their coach, what is next for this organization? We have a lot of updates today, man. A lot of insight. James Harden, Daryl Morey spoke to the media, and he said some monumental things. We're going to break it all down here on the show, as we always do. Sixer Nation, stand up, man. This is the place to be for the Sixers community. We all got to get through it together, man. Going to be an interesting offseason. Hit the like button if you enjoy the show. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell. We are here on a Thursday evening. Let's break it down, man. Welcome on in to the show. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Already tons of people in here. Once again, guys, Philly Take with RB. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know you're in here, man. Tap in the chat. Shout out to the channel members. We will also be opening the phone lines later on in case you want to chime in to the conversation. James Harden, Daryl Morey. The question of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is will Daryl Morey pay James Harden a max contract? There are rumors floating left and right. We have a lot to break down, but we didn't get to cover Daryl Morey's presser yesterday. He said some interesting things, and we are going to get into it all. Shout out to our sponsor of tonight's show, Manta Sleep. Guys and gals out there, I know you've been trying to cope with the Sixers getting eliminated yet again in the second round. Go get your Manta Sleep Mask Pro. This thing's been helping me. I've been having to block out everything, man. I'm down bad. I want to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, man. Go down to the link in the description. Click it. Go to mantasleep.com. Use promo code PhillyTake. Get 10% off your order. What's going on, everybody? Cammy's in the chat. What's up, Cammy? Shout out to everybody tuning in from the Discord as well. Guys, be sure to tune into the Discord. Go join that. We talk there all the time. Easy Up, what's going on? Amon, what up? Fantasy, Big Rud, Superhero, what's up? Sports Hulk, BLSG, Arian, IE, what up? Luke, we got Prince Manito, Sean Fitzpatrick, what up? Welcome on in, man. Welcome on in. Hope everybody's doing well. Have you guys gotten over the loss yet? Have you gotten over the Game 7 loss? Is it still eating you away? Because, man, not only is it eating me away, but then you have people going back and forth. Nobody knows what's right for this franchise. Some people want to start all the way over. Some people, think that it'll take a few tweaks. Daryl Morey has his opinions, and I was actually a little bit surprised about what he said. What is your overall thoughts on Daryl Morey's press conference? To be honest, when I listened to it, because I was driving, listening to it, and then I, watched a little bit of it, the man just sounded deflated. Am I the only one that thinks that? He sounded absolutely crushed. He sounded like it was just like I'm not over it yet type of vibe. He was sitting up there answering questions, but for the first time, there was no Doc Rivers next to him, right? Like, it was just Daryl Morey just, I respect Daryl because he always answers the questions straightforward. He doesn't usually try to bounce around things. I mean, he did kind of give you a little bit of a read between the lines, but he will at least try to address every question. He won't just say like, oh, I can't answer that or I won't answer it. But his vibe, man, I don't know. He just sounded very deflated to me. He sounded like, okay, we're at a point now where, some things are going to have to turn. Decisions are going to have to be made. And man, hopefully he's the right guy for the job. He said he was the right guy for the job. So we'll see, man. But anyway, I want to get into the press conference. I'm not going to play, obviously, the whole thing. You've all probably heard it by now, but I do want to give my thoughts. Now, here are my takeaways from the press conference. My main three. There's a lot. But number one, Daryl Morey chose James Harden over Doc Rivers at this point. Now, maybe James Harden doesn't re-sign. That's what we're going to talk about here. Should James Harden get a contract from the Sixers? You have people on both sides of the equation. However, I will say, when the Sixers lost, somebody had to go. And immediately off the bat, it was Doc Rivers. And listening to Daryl Morey, it almost, sounded as if he was putting all the blame on Doc. It almost sounded like, yeah, Doc didn't have what it took to get this team over the hump. Doc wasn't the right voice. But for most of the press conference, it didn't really feel like he was putting the burden on Joel and James, which I thought was surprising. I thought this would finally be the time where he was like, yeah, they have to play better. But he kind of credited it to the Celtics hitting more shots and playing better, which we all know is not true, right? The Sixers should have won that series. And if you watch the game last night, for example, once again, shout out to Jimmy Butler. I knew, Jimmy's going to come out tough. I picked the Celtics in 5. I might be looking bad already because, like I said, they're just streaky. They're a flaky team. And the Miami Heat are filled with undrafted players. The Miami Heat are not, anything too special, but Jimmy Butler wins and he's a dog, and they beat Boston on the road in game 1. So anyway, back to the Sixers. My main point is that it felt like Daryl Morey targeted Doc Rivers. He said, I respect Doc, but I had to make the tough decision. He's out of here. And it almost feels like that's it in a way. It almost feels like, okay, that's it. Number 2, Daryl Morey, as we all know, is fascinated with James Harden, and he's going to do what it takes to bring him back. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because I'm here to tell you guys right now. If Daryl Morey brings back James Harden on anything more than, I'd say, a 2-year deal, this organization is in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. Let's not forget, they can't trade a first rounder till 2029. They barely have any assets in the next couple years. And they are tied up with some contracts. Obviously, we hope, or we would expect, that Daryl Morey's going to move that Tobias contract. But if he goes out there, and we know Daryl Morey loves him some James Harden. If he goes out there and pays him a max contract, I'm telling you right now, it is not going to go well. I don't see any way possible for Daryl Morey to pay him a max contract. Now, in terms of the news today, or maybe yesterday and today, from Chris B. Haynes, and the main report is that James Harden is going to opt out of his deal, his player option. And James Harden as a player is sitting there thinking, well, I sacrificed all this money last year. I did what it took to get former Rockets on this team and to make this team better. And I went out and had a pretty good regular season. I want my money. This is where it's going to come down to, what does James want to do? Does he want to stay with a team that might be competitive even if he's not making as much? Or is James Harden going to say, go to, another team, maybe a lesser team, and get his max contract? Does he really want to win that title? And according to Chris B. Haynes as well, now again, James did put out an Instagram post saying that, the experts aren't experts, so you have to take all this with a grain of salt. But James Harden did say, quote, Chris Haynes said, quote, about James Harden, the basketball freedom for the star to be himself. That's what James Harden wants. There's something going on in terms of the identity of this team, because as it was reported many times, especially in the last couple of days, Doc Rivers and James Harden did not have the best relationship. And, James Harden came out in that Game 7 post presser and said, our relationship's okay. And then there are more reports coming out today that James Harden was actually the one that wanted to get Doc fired. Daryl Morey about James Harden, quote, we have interest in bringing him back. And shout out to our guy, Sean Bernard, who put this on Twitter. The $35.6 million player option that James Harden is reported to be declining would have made him the 27th highest paid player in the NBA. He wants more than that per year, and he wants security. He wants security. James Harden wants to cash in on a 4-year max. I'm telling you right now, or a 5-year max or whatever it is. He wants a max deal, and I'm telling you right now, the Sixers cannot give it to him. You have a lot of these Harden fanboys who are trying to defend his performance. Yes, he did win the Sixers a couple games in the series. He also lost them a couple games. He was pretty bad in the games that he lost, and he was not the same from the regular season. Now, whether you want to chalk that up to injury or, just going against tougher defenses, that's on you. You can speculate that. All I'm telling you is that he didn't have it when he needed to in the last 2 games, and you cannot go out here and give him a max deal. Now, if you bring him back on, say, a 2-year deal again with a player option, okay, I'm thinking about it. Definitely thinking about that. But I am starting to worry, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a higher message here. Listen carefully. I am starting to worry that Daryl Morey's fascination with the Philadelphia Rockets has gone to a new extreme. Now, obviously, everybody clowned him last year and said, oh, he's trying to put together the former Rockets. But now when you think about this coaching search, right, which we are going to break down and talk about more, I'm doing, work on the coaching camp. I'm looking into these guys, right, because I don't know who I want specifically. There's a couple guys I like. There's pros, there's cons. Daryl Morey talked in the presser and he said, well, it's going to be an extensive process. Guys are reaching out to us. We're going to do more work. But I am worried that he has a fascination to bring Mike D'Antoni here. In fact, I'm starting to think that he wanted to bring him here before. If you remember, Doc Rivers was hired and then Daryl Morey. So I'm starting to think that Daryl Morey already knows it's going to be Mike D'Antoni. And again, as I said in the last video, Mike D'Antoni is not anywhere near the worst coach in the world, right? But he's 70, 71. He's never gotten to the finals, and he has failed with multiple MVP players in both Steve Nash and James Harden. Would he probably elevate Harden? Yes. Would he elevate Embiid? I don't know, because Mike D'Antoni, despite what people say, I know he coached different in Phoenix. That was 15, 20 years ago. Mike D'Antoni is going to try to replicate the offense that the Houston Rockets were successful with James Harden. That means Joel Embiid is going to have to lose 30 pounds. He's going to have to be a run and gun type of player. They're going to run a much quicker offense, and Joel Embiid is going to have to shoot at a higher clip. And I just don't know if that suits the MVP game. You know what I mean? Now, maybe you could counteract that with, where'd the MVP game get you? True. Mike D'Antoni would make this offense a lot more modern. He would probably incorporate Tyrese Maxey, but I'm just worried that there's going to be a fascination for overplaying shooters. Now, and again, when I say overplaying shooters, that's the scheme, but you don't have the personnel to fit that. That's the problem. Now, if the Sixers had 5 different shooters like the Houston Rockets, yeah, you could do that. You could surround Embiid with a ton of shooters, but the Sixers don't have that. So you'd have to reconstruct the roster first to try to sell me on D'Antoni. And honestly, I don't want D'Antoni. No, thank you. Been there, done that. Daryl, it didn't work. Go in a different direction. And there are coaches out there right now that have won championships in the last 5 years, which Daryl Morey talked about. And I thought it was interesting. The last takeaway from the press conference, Daryl Morey says he will not take input from players on the next coach. And something I really, really found interesting that I forgot to put on here. Let me know what you guys think about this. Joel Embiid was reportedly pissed off with the fact that Doc Rivers got fired. Joel did not like it at all. Meanwhile, James Harden reportedly wanted to get him fired. So is there a dynamic here between the two stars? Is there a rift, not between the two, but in terms of what they're trying to do? Can they play together? I'm starting to think James Harden wants to go back to his old style of offense. I don't know if the age and the body will support it, but I think James Harden wants to go back to running the offense. He's sitting here saying, I sacrificed this year not only my money, but my play style. And he had a damn good regular season. He led the league in assists and should have been an all-star. However, I don't think that's going to win unless you have the right players around it, and he has to stay healthy, and the Sixers just don't have either one of those looking bright right now. So I'm hoping that Daryl Morey does not feel the need to go out and try to recreate the Rockets with Joel Embiid. People don't remember, but Mike D'Antoni literally wanted to trade their center away to get Robert Covington. They played Robert Covington at center. And I know people say, oh, well, that was to help Westbrook. I don't care. Westbrook is a lost cause. You tried to help Westbrook, and what did you do? You traded away a center. You didn't play with a center. No, thank you. No, thank you. I don't want that. That's just me, though. Maybe you feel different. Maybe you have a different opinion, and that is perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, man. I do not want to play the run and gun offense because I don't think it'll fit what the Sixers have personnel-wise. So that's my takeaway really on the press conference. And Daryl Morey on bringing in a coach who has won a title, a.k.a. Nick Nurse, Mike Budenholzer. Here's the quote from Daryl Morey. Recent championships, it's a factor. Definitely not a litmus test, but all else equal, I think that can lend a lot of credibility with players. Hey, I just did this. I think that matters. Could the Sixers go out and get Nick Nurse? Is that a possibility? Maybe. Maybe. Other than the crying and complaining, I liked Nick Nurse in terms of a coach. I think what happened with the Raptors is, obviously after the championship season, no Kawhi Leonard, and they don't have a star player. I think the Raptors tried to pay certain guys like they were star players, but they don't have the stars. So I think Nick Nurse with stars could actually be pretty successful. And Daryl Morey seems to maybe put some stock in that. Maybe. Also, Daryl Morey was asked by the one and only Howard Eskin about keeping his job. Look, there's Daryl laughing. He knows what's coming. Howard's always coming with the strong questions. This is the clip I want to play. Because Daryl Morey is put on the spot right here. And let me know what you think about not only his answer, but the way he answered it. Does Daryl Morey sound confident? I want to know. Yes or no? Let's play this, man.
With the lack of progress of being able to get past the second round, how much responsibility, since you're the one that puts the team together, how much responsibility do you think you have in this team not getting further than they did?
Yeah, I think number one, me. It is a collective effort, but I was brought in for a reason, just like Coach Rivers was. So I would put it on myself first. I don't accept that we haven't advanced. I do think we're a much better team than we were the prior year, the year before that. We've set sort of a arbitrary line that I understand. I'm not rejecting that that's obviously to win the championship, you have to make it farther than the second round. So I understand the math of that. But I would say there's been a lot of progress within that, in that, Maxey taking big steps forward, Joel progressing to the MVP. I think James Harden is better than the second best player we've had. This year we lost to a heck of a team than the Boston Celtics, so a very good chance to go on to win the championship. So progress is there in my opinion, and I promise you next year if we make the conference finals but fall short, Howard or others will be writing how we just have never made the finals, and so look, our goal is to win the championship. It's not to make the second round or third round, so I would understand that as well. So
okay, it is a results business.
Yeah.
Okay, haven't gotten past the second round. When you talk,
I would say, to be fair, we haven't won the championship. I'm just saying, I would reframe it that. Let's just reframe it that way.
Okay.
How I would say it.
What do you tell ownership after you let go of the coach as to why you should keep your job?
I tell ownership winning's hard. We have made progress. And frankly, I feel like I'm the best guy to lead the 76ers. And
so you heard Howard Eskin put him on the grill. Why do you deserve to keep your job? I'm the best guy to lead the 76ers. What do we think about that? is Daryl Morey still valid in terms of this GM? And somebody in the chat, shout out to HRT, who says, you know, how does Elton Brand still have a job? I said that on Twitter the other day. I don't understand. I think there has been for a while, and there still is, an organizational structure issue, because Elton Brand got kicked out of his spot, essentially. And then he's helping Daryl Morey draft, make decisions. How is Elton Brand still in the front office? I don't understand. How does he still have a role? Essentially, he got moved out for Daryl Morey. It's like, okay, here comes this a better executive who has a better history and has made better moves. And you paid Tobias, Al Horford, and Ben, but we don't want to kick you out. We don't want to get you out of here. We're going to give you a role, but not as big of a role, but still a role. It's like taking a demotion. I would have walked away with my pride. What are we talking about here if I'm Elton Brand? But he said, all right, I'm not going to get another job. I'm not going to get another NBA GM job for a while, so why don't I stay and hope that we win the championship, and then I'll go somewhere and get paid? But yeah, Daryl Morey to me in this whole press conference did not seem as confident as before. You know, last year he said, all right, we're going to address the toughness of this team. We're pissed. Here he's just like, well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, there was an article put out by Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report, Yahoo Sports. And again, he said James Harden was the driving force behind Doc Rivers' firing. He then elaborated and he said, to be clear, any aggregation that James Harden was the reason Philadelphia let go of Doc Rivers is off base. Sixers' decision was not a direct result of Harden's wishes, but several other factors too. A common theme has been teams wanting a new voice. Not the Sixers, but other teams as well. Like, I mean, if you were going to fire Doc Rivers, I think it had to be now, because this is the coaching carousel you want, right? You don't want to go in there with a blind hope of like, all right, let's hope this guy gets fired. No, Budenholzer's out there, Nick Nurse, Frank Vogel, Monty Williams, Sam Cassell. Like, there's all these guys out there. D'Antoni, obviously, and, you know, this is the best way to do it, I guess. But what do you think? What do you think? Do you guys think Doc Rivers should have been the first one to go? Do you think he should have been canned? Because now there's people out there saying, oh, well, Doc Rivers didn't deserve this. He coached well in the playoffs. What do you think? I want to know. I want to know. There's a very interesting dynamic here. I think this is going to be like a order of an offseason. I think the first thing is going to be the decision with James Harden. And then I think it's going to come down, to the coach. When I say James Harden, I mean him opting out. That's going to be the first thing. And then it's going to come down to the Sixers coach. After the Sixers have a coach, which, by the way, I wouldn't wait too long, Sixers. I wouldn't wait too long. Then I think James is going to decide, do I want to go with the Sixers, depending on who the coach is? If it's D'Antoni, then yeah, he'll probably come back. Will Daryl Morey give him a 3, 4, 5-year contract? And what will Joel say, in terms of, how he feels about the new coach, right? And just the personnel, like, what do you do then? Can you trade the Tobias contract? I think this is the offseason you have to do it. I think you have to offload that contract. Absolutely. I think absolutely you have to offload that contract. That's number one. Daryl Morey talked yesterday about the toughness. He said it's kind of overvalued, which I find interesting because last year, that was literally the Sixers' number one priority. It was, let's get more tough. Then you get PJ Tucker and you end up in the same exact spot and you go out with no toughness. So maybe he's right, but Daryl Morey kept talking about stars. I heard him say stars a couple times, and it seems like if James Harden is going to go, Daryl Morey is fixated on a sign and trade for another star. That's what it seems like from my perspective. It's like, all right, if James goes, we need to get a star back. And do you think the Sixers need to get a star back? I mean, if you want to contend next year, sure. Can Tyrese Maxey elevate to being the primary guard in an offense? Is he ready for that step? I think there's so many underlying questions that determine what the direction should be. And I think it all depends on how you answer those questions in terms of, what they decide to do. Like obviously the Sixers need to go out there and upgrade around Joel Embiid. That's number one. From Daryl's press conference, we got confirmation. It seems like, unless something wild came on the table, they're going to keep Joel. He said, we have the MVP to start with. We're going to build around him. By the way, he did say in terms of James Harden, he said, plan 1A or plan A is to keep James Harden. They are going to try to keep James Harden. And then plan B, if James Harden says, no, I'm leaving, is kind of figure it out, which worries me. But again, is Tyrese Maxey ready to take that jump to being maybe a superstar? If he is, if you believe that, then maybe this is an easier fix. I've been watching the other playoff games, specifically the Denver Nuggets, and one thing I noticed, obviously before, but it's very apparent right now, right? Jokic is balling in the playoffs, but what is the Nuggets team doing right now? They're moving the ball well. They're flowing. Everybody is involved. And I asked this about a week or two to the live stream chat, to the videos chat. Can the Sixers run that same type of offense with Joel Embiid? Like, can they run one of these other offenses with Joel? Can he play a little bit of a different role instead of just going down to the paint or staying at the block or staying at the top of the perimeter and just handling the ball for 15 seconds in a shot clock? I don't know. I think Joel's got to get a little skinnier. I think he's got to be able to move more, because even though he's improved, in terms of his handles over the years and his jump shot, I just don't think the Sixers can play the Nuggets type of ball right now. And another reason I believe that is because what have the Nuggets done? They have surrounded Nikola Jokic with the exact type of niche players that are needed to succeed. You get what I'm saying? Look at the Nuggets starting lineup right now. They have a ball handling guard who can take it from Jokic whenever he needs and go create and knock one down from deep, or really just score from anywhere, most likely. And then you have a two-way wing in Michael Porter Jr., who I've always liked, who can spot up in the corner. He can take it, put it on the floor, and he can close out on shooters, and he's not 38 and slow. And then they have Aaron Gordon, who's an athletic rebounder. Oh, whip-de-doo, a power forward that does power forward things. Do you know how much the Sixers would benefit from literally just an athletic rebounder at the 4? And I wish Paul Reed could shoot a basketball. I wish Paul Reed could shoot a basketball. If Paul Reed could shoot, it would be an easy fix. But he can't shoot, unfortunately. And I don't know if he's ever going to be able to shoot. And here's how I know the Sixers need better development coaches, okay? You look at guys over the years, Simmons, Thibault, etc. Obviously, part of it is them wanting to shoot, being told to shoot. But their forms, they don't improve that much. And look at Paul Reed. He has had one of the ugliest jumpers for the last couple of years. And has he really changed? Have they really changed his form at all? Obviously, sometimes it's embedded into a player where he can't change that much, but it could look better than that. If Paul Reed could shoot, he would be the perfect 4. They need a guy like that, a dog who can rebound. You watch the Nuggets, right? Aaron Gordon doesn't do a lot of flashy things, but he does the things that mesh the team. He'll go scrapping for a loose ball. He'll go up on the glass, grab 10 rebounds, get in your face, switch on defense. That's what the Sixers need at the 4. The Nuggets have niche players in every way that help Jokic. And for example, KCP, guy that just knows how to play his role. Bruce Brown knows how to play his role. That's what I mean, man. And I'm not trying to take away any accountability from Joel, because he needed to play much better. His attitude was not right, and he was a big reason why the Sixers failed in that playoff series, and I'll be the first one to say it. He needed to play much better, but Sixers need to do a better job of making the supporting cast. They have to decide whose team this is going to be. Is it going to be Joel's team? Is it going to be James's team? Can those two mesh together? Do they want to? From what I'm hearing, man, it almost doesn't sound like James wants to be in that facilitator role again. It almost sounds like he doesn't want to play that role again. But maybe I'm off basis. I mean, again, we're just listening, we're hearing, and that's kind of where we're at. with that. That's kind of where we're at. So I want to hear from you, man. I want to hear from everybody out there. Call into the show, man. Call into the show. Let's go put that up, man. If you guys want to call into the show. Give me your thoughts. Where is it at? There it is. 508-924-3784. Hey, what should the Sixers do at this point? What is their direction? What should they do? Should they bring Harden back? I don't think you could bring him back on a max contract. There have been reports that James Harden wants a max contract. He's going to opt out of his deal. That's pretty much confirmed at this point. It just hasn't happened officially. And he wants a max contract, it seems like. Should the Sixers give it to him? Would he settle on a 2-year deal? Should they even try to bring him back at all? Or should they let him go, do a sign and trade, get somebody else, maybe get more young blood in here? What do you guys think about that? $5 super chat from Mr. Roddy Poo. Roddy, what's up, my man? Says Paul Reed's jumper is ugly, but he be hitting. Glenn Shivers didn't give him the green light. You know his leash was short. Nah, I can't say that, Roddy. I can't say that, man. Have you seen Reed's jumper, man? I mean, and he'll pull it in pregame. Yeah, it's not good, man. It's not good, man. Maybe Doc should have tried the two of them together. I agree with that. Why not give it a shot? But Paul Reed does not have a good looking jump shot. I do think, though, and this question should have been asked, man. I don't know why anybody didn't ask Doc Rivers or ask Daryl Morey this question about Doc Rivers. They should have said, will the new coach that you get, will one of the things that you look for in that new coach be the fact that he'll play more young players? That should have been one of the first questions. Should there be a target for a coach, aka like a Nick Nurse, who's not afraid to experiment? That should have been a question. That's what I want to know. Shout out to Legendary Boars, member for 23 months. Are you on the Trade Joel train yet? Shout out to all the channel members out there. Appreciate everybody. Legendary Boars, man, here's my thoughts on the Joel thing. You have to keep all options open. I said that a couple days ago. I'm going to say it again. You have to keep all options open. If a wow, like over the top offer came in, you have to at least consider it. Because again, Joel Embiid is going to be 30. This is the best value he'll ever have. You have to hope that he doesn't get injured again, or else there goes plummeting value all the way down. And it really depends on the direction of your team. If you want to get a ex-championship coach and you think you can fix this thing by trading Tobias and getting, a sneaky good wing player, maybe they try to do that. But I think this is the first time you have to at least entertain anything on the table in terms of making this team better in the future. Because again, they have no draft assets, really. I mean, most of it. Once again, guys, call the show 508-924-3784. We'll get to the phones in just a second. Kenny the Jet Smith, Fire Take Go with a $5 super chat. He says, I think a sign and trade involving James Harden is the best option. That with a Tobias Harris trade opens up space to get a second star. Well, in terms of the James Harden thing, this sign and trade, right? Who is going to trade their star for James Harden? I think that's a valid question at this point. If you were the GM of another team, are you looking at the Sixers saying, yeah, I'm willing to give up a star, like a good young star to get James Harden? I mean, maybe off of the 2 40-point performances in the playoffs, maybe. But I don't know. It's an interesting question, man. It's an interesting question. I do think Tobias has to be the first one to go. You have to get, because Tobias is going to make $40 million this year. 40. Do you know what you could do with $40 million, man? A lot. By the way, guys, 430 people in here. Hit that like button, man. Let's get those likes skyrocketing. We'll be bringing the coverage all off season long. We have a lot in store for sure. $5 super chat from Carlos Rosado says, RB salute. It's getting hard watching these playoff games, bro. I couldn't tune into that Heat Celtics game, and no to James, shaking my head. Go Birds. I hear you, man. Tough to watch for sure. knowing that the Sixers had a very real chance of finally being there, and maybe they would have competed in that series. So it's tough, man. It is tough. I wish, man. I really do wish they got it done. They were 5 minutes away. Brutal. Had an opportunity. $2 super chat from Kastner says, in my opinion, we traded for Harden way too late. It's a fair take. It's a fair take. I mean, at the end of the day, you had to get off the Simmons contract, and Morey got his guy. So I'm not going to go look back and say it was a terrible decision. I think James Harden was probably the best teammate Joel has ever had, and I think it gave them a real shot. But last year, Harden was injured, and this year, gave him a couple games, but Embiid and Harden really didn't show up when it mattered most. S. Dot says Tobias has to go. Superhero says that contract is insane. Mr. 89 says agreed with trading Tobias. Who is out there that is going to take Tobias Harris? It would have to be a rebuilding team who wants to clear cap next year. Honestly, that's kind of where we're at with that. That's kind of where we're at. I don't know, man. All right, we're about to go to the phones, man. 508-924-3784. Call into the show if you want to give a take. James Harden, Doc Rivers, whatever it feels, in terms of the need to talk about, let me know. Hit that like button, man. Let's get it to 200 likes. Welcome in to the show. Before we do that real quick, got a couple callers on the line already. I got a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, man. Shout out to Manta Sleep. Guys, go get your Manta Sleep Mask Pro. All those insomniacs out there, the people who are trying to cope with the Sixers playoff loss, you can't sleep, you're thinking about it, go get the Manta Sleep Mask Pro, man. This thing has true 100% blackout for deep sleep, C-shaped eye cups for unbeatable side sleep comfort, and zero pressure on the eyelids or eyelashes. You can lay on your back, your side, it doesn't matter. Advanced materials built right into this thing, very lightweight, a lot of ventilation and unmatched breathability. They have a ton of cool products, the Pro Mask, the Cool Mask, the Steam Mask, the Aroma Mask, and just a bunch of products to help guide your precious sleep. So go down to the description, click the link, use promo code PhillyTake, get 10% off of your order. All right, man, let's go to the phones. 484 on the line. 484, what's up? Yo. 484. Going once. Going twice. I hear you on the phone, man. Pick up. Man dozed off. We're 0 for 1, man. It's not looking good so far. It's not looking good so far. 267. Let's go to the 267. Yo.
Hey.
What up, man?
Hey, listen, I had a question, man. What do you think James Harden opting out, and if he ends up somewhere else, what do you think about the possibility of signing Kyrie Irving?
Negative 500% for me. Please, no. Anybody but Kyrie.
Listen, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just looking at the worst case scenario,
That is the worst case scenario.
I'm saying James Harden opts out. He doesn't return to Philly. From what I'm saying, that we're left with Tobias has 1 year, Maxey, and we don't have a point guard now. We need somebody to fill that role. You know what I'm saying? And what are we gonna do? Run it without Harden? You know what I'm saying? At that point, it's just gonna be like, now we can really expect not to get anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting anywhere with Kyrie. I'm telling you that right now. Great basketball player, one of the most skilled that there is, but just too much of a locker room issue. And just look at what happened when he joined the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not saying it's all his fault, but no thanks to Kyrie. And plus, you can't run a backcourt of Kyrie and Maxey. It's just not going to work, especially defensively.
I mean, yeah, I knew you was going to say that, but James Harden really isn't that well defensively either. He might be a little. I mean, the height wise, yes. Harden's like 6'5", Kyrie, but Kyrie can bring that scoring. You know what I'm saying? He can. I know the locker room drama, 100%. I'm just thinking worst case scenario, man. It's like, what do you? I would like to say, see your opinion on this. Like, what do you think we should blow it up, or what do you think?
I think all options should be on the table, but you go into this first looking for a potential two-way wing. I think the Sixers need wings, and if you could find a quality player and, you know, maybe swap a Tobias Harris and get that contract out of here, maybe you can build a better roster. Maybe you can go in and, you know, make up for the lack of everything the Sixers missed, but it's going to be hard to do that. And plus, they still need to find a coach first, so I think they need to weigh all options right now. I'm not saying blow it up definitively or don't blow it up, but, you know, it all depends on your outlook, right? Again, if the Sixers decide to run it back, say, and they get maybe a quality role player or a different power forward, if you don't think that's going to put them over the top, though, what's the point of doing it? You know, they need draft picks. They need assets. Because eventually, if this, say, Embiid gets hurt next year and this thing runs into the ground, then what? Then you're actually done. Right now, at least a couple guys have some value, you know?
Yeah. Okay, one last thing. Do you agree with me on this? We literally traded Matisse Thybulle for literally no reason.
I can't.
It was a pointless trade. You can't sit here and tell me it was not a pointless trade. Jalen McDaniels was basically unplayable in the playoffs. I know you might say, okay, more rebounding, which we needed. We definitely needed more rebounding. 100%. 100%. I would never say we didn't need rebounding. We needed it. I get it. But he was unplayable in the playoffs, and then everybody was saying, oh, yeah, but he might shoot better than Matisse Thybulle. Did he really? Did he really shoot better than Matisse Thybulle? Because Jalen McDaniels really was bricking a lot of shots this year, too. I'm sorry to say that. And Thybulle actually looked like he was actually starting to shoot better in the beginning of the season, to be honest.
I don't know if Matisse is ever going to develop it. I do agree with you on the sense that McDaniels probably wasn't what was promised, at least in terms of potential offensively, but I would argue he would have been a better rebounder in that series than Tobias Harris. I would have argued that he could have been a better, maybe athletic defensive fit, but I don't know why. He just didn't get any minutes whatsoever. I mean, you could say he's unplayable. Thybulle would have been actually unplayable because he won't shoot the basketball. At least McDaniels could have tried to impact the game some way.
Defensively, you can't say unplayable. I mean, him on the team, arguably our best defender.
Yeah, but have you watched the prior playoffs? I mean, Matisse wouldn't shoot a basketball. If he would shoot, he'd be amazing. He'd be exactly what the Sixers need. But
right,
I mean, I don't know why Thybulle just won't shoot the ball, but we've been there, done that.
So you wouldn't be open for a Matisse Thybulle return at all?
No.
0%?
No. Appreciate the call, man. We're going down a rabbit hole here, man. Like, we can talk about the past. No. And the question is, are they going to re-sign Jalen McDaniels? I think that's the question. Are they going to, if they don't re-sign Jalen McDaniels, I think he's a restricted free agent. Then there's no point. I agree at that point. There was no point of trading if Jalen McDaniels will not be re-signed. But Daryl Morey pretty much said before he wants to re-sign McDaniels. I don't know. He didn't get any minutes. All right, let's go to the voice of reason. My man, Sean Fitzpatrick. Sean, what's up?
Hold on 1 second, RB.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man.
All right, hold on 1 second because I got your show in the background. You caught me unawares. Hold on.
Gotcha.
All right, here we go. What's going on, RB? How you doing?
I'm feeling all right, man. Let's hear it. Well, what should the Sixers do? Where are we at?
Well, first of all, I've been hearing stories about you, going through withdrawals since the playoff debacle. I mean, you're cranking out that Manta sleep. You're waking up at 2 a.m. shouting out, playoff, PJ, thinking the Sixers are still in it.
Hey,
it's sad to hear.
Gotta get your Manta Sleep Mask Pro, man. You gotta get it, man.
I'm telling you, I think Daryl Morey is using the Manta Sleep Pro mask because, I mean, here's my emotions as a Sixer fan, and you're a lot closer to it than I am, but there's two, adjectives I would use, pissed and scared. because I'm a worst case scenario guy. But if what looks like it's going to happen actually does happen, you bring Harden back and you bring D'Antoni in, I honestly think they're worse than they were before. I think you're taking steps backward.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want D'Antoni. I really don't. I feel like that's over with. Like, they tried it. They were close. Maybe if Chris Paul never got hurt in that Game 7, maybe they get to the finals and win it. Maybe. But again, a lot of maybes. I don't want to go back to that. No, thank you.
Right. Now, you follow the league a lot closer than I do, and despite your Rutgers education, you're somewhat of a smart kid. But in D'Antoni's system, the big man is basically obsolete, correct?
At least that's how it was in Houston. I know before that he coached in Phoenix, which was like 15, 20 years ago, and he did utilize bigs. But with James Harden, the difference is Phoenix didn't have James Harden. He is going to try to replicate that Houston offense, but try to throw in a twist with Joel Embiid. That's how I view it. I know people think that.
Because I'm honestly wondering if the final biggest piece to drop is maybe this is a plan to get Embiid out of here. Maybe they don't want him being a part of this team. But what I really don't understand, and I'm no analytics expert or contract numbers guy, but can anybody explain to me, yourself included, how giving a 33, 34-year-old guard a max deal for more money than he's making now makes any kind of sense? This is a player who I want to go to Houston, I want to go to Phoenix. Well, to me, if you're not all in, you're out. Yeah. So if he's not committed to being here, why in the hell would you even think about offering him a contract at those terms?
Yeah, I don't understand it. And it's funny because then a report came out about Doc Rivers, and essentially they kind of said that Doc stuck up, for the team and said to James, when he was partying and things like that, it's not a good look. And I think that's kind of where the relationship started to go downhill. And, I've defended James in that aspect. If you come to work, do what you have to do on the court, fine. But once again, didn't get it done in the playoffs. So, I don't really see a method for giving him a 4-year max contract. I just think it makes no sense. He's 37, 38, going to be getting max money, and he already looks like in some games that he's bottoming out. I don't see it at all.
Well, I think the 76ers, to be honest with you, are in the worst position you can be in as a franchise in any sport.
Yeah.
They're not good enough to advance any further, and they're not bad enough to get draft picks and young players, that you would need to possibly take an incremental step forward. Yep. They're stuck in a holding pattern with no means of getting out of it. They're going to be treading water for years to come. I've been thinking about it, and I think I touched on it the other day when I called you. Honestly, short of trading Joel Embiid, I don't know of anything they can do that's going to make that big of a difference in terms of advancing them up the playoff chain. I really don't.
There isn't.
I mean, you may have to take a couple steps backward to go forward, but if you're sitting there content to win your 50-plus games in the regular season, your first-round playoff series, but get KO pectated in the second round every year, so be it. I question Daryl Morey's commitment to winning. I question his long-term plans of what this team is going to do. I just think he wants to bring his buddies in, hold hands after games, roast some marshmallows, and sing Kumbaya, as opposed to winning titles here.
And what's crazy is that it's starting to feel that way, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, the Sixers need to get better, and I think that they need to put a certain type of team around Joel, because we just saw it in the playoffs. Like, this kind is not going to work. And the only way to put a better team around him that specifically fits is to have the assets and the cap space to do so, which they do not. So if you don't think you can get over the hump by kind of like retooling this team, then maybe the best route is to clear them, get as much draft picks as possible, and, look towards the future and go around max.
Well, D'Antoni's system is like the Chip Kelly system of NBA coaching. It's just high-octane offense, very little defense, shots from everywhere, run up and down the court for 48 minutes and wear their opponent out.
Exactly.
They don't have the current personnel to play that style.
And that is my exact point. That's my exact point. And, all these people get frustrated. Oh, well, D'Antoni, they had one of the best shooting-wise offenses and this and that. Right, but they had 5 shooters on the floor every single game. Like, they had guys that could run up and down. And, the Sixers do not have that. They just don't play that style, and they don't have that around an MVP caliber Joel Embiid. That's not how he plays. So, I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, I don't either. And like I said, I just don't know where you get the assets to get those players in here other than if you deal Embiid. I mean, look, we were both rocking our Raul Neto jerseys on Sunday hoping for a better fate. But, I mean, like I said, I think this team may be moving backwards trajectory-wise, and that would scare the living crap out of me as a Sixer fan. I think people have a right to be livid with what's going on here.
Absolutely, man. Sean, appreciate the call as always.
Thank you, sir. Once again, playoff PJ, get that man to sleep going and catch up on your rest.
Get it going, man. Shout out to Sean, new promoter of Man to Sleep. What do you guys think about this? Put this out a little while ago. Damian Lillard. Now, he was obviously joking, but a lot of talks about Damian Lillard. The Blazers got the number 3 overall pick in the draft. Some are saying they could draft Scoot Henderson, put him with Anthony Simons, which would lead to another awkward fit. Will Damian Lillard opt out, or will he ask out? Will he ask for a trade? Part 1674 coming up next. Is it time to go all in on the let's get Dame to Philly? Would he be a great fit? Yeah, but I don't know if I'm ready to do that again. Shout out to all 500 people in here, man. Guys, hit that like button. Let's get those likes up. We'll go back to the phones, man. A lot of people on the line. Let's go to the 484. 484, what up?
Yo, what's up?
What up, man? Who's on the line?
William.
What's up, William?
What's up, RB? All right, so I just got one question.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about this for like Sunday. So I think we should trade Harris and McDaniels and a 2029 pick for Brandon Ingram. You agree with me?
Say it again.
I think we should trade Toby and McDaniels and a 2029 pick for Brandon Ingram.
I mean, that sounds nice, but that would never happen. That's just not nearly enough to get Brandon Ingram, the guy that the Sixers probably should have drafted. Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like me trading like a 1998 used car and like going to the dealership. You know what I mean? Like they're going to say, no, you got to throw in some cash there or something. Unfortunately, the Sixers don't have what it takes to get a player like Brandon Ingram. In fact, that would be the perfect fit. That'd be the perfect fit for this team. But I just don't know if they have the assets.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, William.
All right. No, that was it for me.
All right. Thanks for the call, man. Yeah, I mean, I can go dig up the piggy bank real quick. See see if I got a couple extra dollars lying around, but nah, it's not happening. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to 215. 215, what up?
What up, RB? This is Vic from Philly, man.
Vic from Philly,
I gotta tell
what up,
all
my
the
man?
Philly fans to calm down for a sec. I got some answers.
All right, let's hear them, man. Thank you. Somebody's got the answers.
Yeah, man, we got to remain positive. The cup is half full, not half empty, all right? Let's check this out. We start with our scouting department. You know the Miami Heat got the Miami Heat had 10 undrafted players on their team playing in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm aware.
We have 0. So we need to start with the scouting department, find us some undrafted skilled players, some wings, some 6'8" guys that we can use on his team to fill these positions, right?
Okay.
You get Embiid, he got to slim down. He got to lose 50, maybe 50 pounds, and you move him to power forward. You keep Maxey. Maxey and Dame Lillard are like the same size. Why would you want to help when we develop Maxey? Let him play. It's his turn now.
I got you. And then who plays center after that?
That's where we got to find an undrafted guy, or can we trade Tobias to Washington and pick up Kuzma and see if we could get a draft pick and get one of them Thompson brothers at 8?
Okay.
What do you think? You like that?
Well, you lost me at the Embiid power forward part because that will never happen.
I mean, he's not playing center at all. We're like the 5th worst team in rebounding. Nobody's under the boards. We're not playing defense. Harden doesn't play defense. Embiid doesn't play. We got to get a rebound, a shot blocker like Miami right now.
I mean, Embiid is a shot blocker, but what you need is an athletic power forward. You need an actual power forward that can rebound and doesn't have alligator arms when he tries to pick up the basketball.
But Embiid he's at the elbow. He's not a true center. I understand we really need him in a post, but that's not his game. We need to find somebody that's their game.
Okay. I mean, if you think that'll work, I'll take your word for it.
I mean, it's not working now. Boston was killing us on the boards.
Right. But that's because your power forward's giving you 2 rebounds. That's why. And because he plays like a small forward and he sits in the corner. And then you have PJ Tucker, who's 67. I mean, but that's why.
We can fix that easily, though. There are plenty shot blockers, rebounders in the draft that go undrafted. So even that. I mean, I'm sure we could pick up something.
You're going to put another.
Look at Miami. It can be done. Look, we keep talking about drafting players.
Let's look at Miami. Their tallest player is 6'9".
But look, they're undrafted players. Their whole starting lineup, besides Butler and who else? Kyle. They're all undrafted players.
And they're all
go through their lineup.
They're all quick players that are like 6'7".
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we upgrade our scouting department and find some gems out there, we can get back. We need some fast, athletic wings out here, like McDaniels. That's why they got them. We got to keep them.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Shot blocking center. All right, man. Appreciate
shot blocking, rebounding, some quick, athletic wings like Kuzma. We need at least 6'8". Because look, you got to deal with what's my man out of Tatum? You got to deal with Tatum. You got to deal with Smart. You got to deal with Jaylen Brown. You got to get bigger and more athletic to defend these guys.
Right, which is why they need an athletic power forward. That's what I'm saying. And an athletic small forward as well. But Tobias, he's not athletic?
no,
No. He's
PJ
not.
Tucker?
No. You can run faster than these guys.
One person, though. You can't rely on one guy to do that. Look at the Celtics. Look at Miami. Their whole team is athletic and they defend. Butler is one of the best defensive players in the league.
All right, man. He
plays both sides of the court.
You're way off bases, man. You got to go. Now he's talking about Jimmy Butler. Hey, bro, he just said Tobias and PJ are athletic. Come on, man. Come on. PJ Tucker. I think I'm faster than PJ Tucker, and I'm slow. All right? I think I'm faster than PJ Tucker. What are we talking about here? That guy's on to something, though, man. He's right. No draft assets. Undrafted. Let's go and take one of the worst scouting teams. Let's go to the undrafted guys. Let's go down to the park. Start picking out players. Hey, you want to try out? Hey, you look like you can rebound. Come on, man. This is interesting. Yeah, we got some interesting casts tonight. Shout out to the caller, man. appreciate them going back and forth. All right, let's try another one, man. Let's go back. 540. 540, what up?
Hey, what's up, RB?
What up, man?
Hey, how you doing, bro? You doing okay?
Doing all right, man. Who we got on the line?
Oh, it's Downtown.
Oh, my guy. What, you calling in from a different number?
No, man. Just calling in from the regular number,
Same
man.
number? Hey.
Hey.
My guy, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's up?
How you feeling, man?
Oh, I'm doing okay, man. Trying to get over this debacle that the Sixers have made. And, you know, they've gotten themselves into a pretty tight corner, man. But there is a way out of it.
Okay. Tell me now. What do we need? What do we need to do?
I think everything that we need, we already got. But we're just going to have to be thrifty about it. Okay? I think we already got our point guard. And you have to go back, RB, and check out what we were doing before Harden came to the Sixers. Who was the point guard that we were using before Harden came?
We didn't have one. He was a fraud.
Well, I'm not talking about Mr. BS himself. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the year after the debacle in Atlanta.
Yeah, Tyrese.
We were four. Yeah, it was Tyrese. It was Tyrese Maxey, right?
Right.
Tyrese can run the point. He can.
Okay.
Now, this is what we really need. I think we already got our point. Our point guard is good.
Okay.
What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find another shooting guard. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody like an Anthony Edwards, you know, from Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have
Maybe
a top draft pick to do that, though, and Sixers do not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's you know, maybe go with Shake Milton for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Shake is already there. You know, I'm like I said, you know, it's a like you said, you know, you got to present all options. And right now we're kind of in a pickle, man. But
that's right.
I think there is, like I said, I think there is a way out. We're going to have a good athletic power forward and leave you know, PJ where he is and get some and I don't know who's developing. I don't know who's developing our players, but they need to be fired, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? Another thing is that you have young players who are out there. A couple of them you got rid of.
Yeah.
And for example, a Jaden Springer, right?
Yeah.
They don't play because Doc Rivers didn't like young players. So you got to rely on the pieces that you brought in to develop.
Whoever the coach is going to be, our next head coach needs to, I think he needs to go and talk to some folks down in Miami. I really do. Because Miami has a lot of undrafted free agents that can play, man. And somewhere along the line, we forgot about development. And we need to start developing our players because everybody isn't going to come in fresh off the street doing this stuff. You know, it's very rare to find a Tyrese Maxey that can go in right, you know, and even then, and if you go back and look at this stuff, right, we didn't want to play Maxey. We were forced to play Maxey.
Right. Why was that?
Know,
because of Doc Rivers. Because of Doc.
Yeah, because of Doc. So we got to have a coach that's willing not only to be experimental, but also look towards the future and say, look, we need to evaluate our talent that's around us. Not only that's what's on the bench, but the farm league and everywhere else. And if you can find somebody that's that good, you bring them in. You know, give them a 10-day contract and see what they can do. But like I said, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I never did like Harden because I thought he was a ball hog. But and I also have to tell you this, right? If you go back and check out Harden and his history, he and another player that he played with back in a long time ago, whenever they get in a tight spot, they always choke. They always, and the other guy that I'm talking about is Russell Westbrook. They always choke. If you give them, if you let them play for a while, regular season, they were fine. But the moment that they got into playoff situations, man, they tightened up like a snare drum, man, and it was ridiculous. And they've been that way their whole career.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. They got to find something, man. It sounds nice.
Yeah, I know they do.
It sounds nice, but it's it's gonna be hard to do. So.
Well, I mean, I think the point guard problem is solved. I think what they're really looking for is a good wing defender.
Yeah.
And some, and I think we got people that's on the bench that are pretty good. But until you use them, you ain't gonna really know what you got.
Well, that I agree with. Downtown, man. I appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Though. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, man.
As always.
Yeah, bro. You take it easy, all right?
Thank you, man. You do the same. All right. Yeah. Appreciate you. Here's my thing with the callers so far, man. It's like we're saying a lot of good things, right? Like, oh yeah, let's go get Joe Schmo out of the G League in Florida. But it's like this team is in a spot, and I mentioned this earlier, where it's like, all right, you want to win a championship, right? Okay, you have to do that now. Like, you don't have waiting time, assets, etc. to like, all right, let's develop these young guys on the bench. No, you have to go out now and get it done. So my idea into this offseason is if you think you can retool this roster right now to make it a championship roster, then yeah, you go in and you try it. However, if not, what's the point? Embiid has the highest value that he has right now. Tyrese Maxey's still young and he's going to develop. If you could find a wing like a Michael Porter to bring in and, play alongside those two. And if you think Maxey, I mean, he was adamant on Maxey being that guy, the star guard. And, if you think Maxey can take that leap, which I said earlier, then yeah. But is Maxey ready? I mean, he's had flashes where he looks like a superstar. Then he's had other flashes where he's inconsistent. Is that because of the lack of touches, or is it because he's not ready yet? So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. It's a tough situation to be in, and I think I'm frustrated because the Sixers had their best opportunity to win. They had 2 great opportunities, maybe 3, to go out and get to the conference finals and to get to the finals, and they blew all of them. This was your time, and that's what I'm frustrated about. All right, let's go back, get a few more callers in here before we wrap it up. Shout out to all the people waiting on the line. We'll try to get to as many as possible. Let's go to the 703. 703. What up?
Yo, RB, what's going on, man?
Yo, what up? Who's on the line?
Yo, this is Justin, man.
Justin, what's up, man?
Hey, all right, so here's the thing. I'm the most optimistic person you'll ever meet. And even I'm saying, I think you got to blow it up. I'm serious, honestly, I think we watched the window close as Embiid is strolling up the court. That's it. I hate to say it. I mean, he's valuable. He's the MVP.
So when you say blow it up, what do you mean? Get rid of Joel, get rid of Tobias, what else? Just everybody except Maxey, or?
I think, yeah, you keep Maxey, try to let him develop into a superstar, but, I mean, what else can you really do? I don't see an option. I don't see an option, especially not with the Harden situation plus Tobias Harris. I don't. Yeah. Listen, I think to win a championship for this team, you need Joel to be like that dog. You need him to play like an MVP. And to me, if you're going to stroll up the court in a Game 7, that means That's not you. I'm sorry. And I love Joel. I do. I'm a huge fan.
I hear you,
I've been
man.
arguing for this dude for 3, 4, or 5 years against that dude out in Denver.
Yep.
And now, I mean, I look like a fool.
I hear you, man. It's tough. Right now, it's kind of tough to be an Embiid guy, you know?
It really, I mean, I'm eating crow all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm on an all crow diet right now.
It's tough, man. But, hey, I respect the take, man. And I appreciate the call, Justin.
All right, no doubt. All right.
Appreciate it, man.
Yo, you're a machine, man. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Guys, let's go rapid fire. Let's get as many as we can in here. Last couple. Nobody's really talked about the main topic here. Like, should the Sixers pay James Harden? Is he worthy of paying Harden? I mean, a couple people said no. Like, Maxey can be that guy. But what do we think about this, like, Philadelphia Rockets coming together? Like, is Daryl Morey going to pay James Harden a max contract? James Harden wants a 4-year contract. Is Morey going to pay it to him? And is he going back with D'Antoni and bringing this thing full circle? I hope not. All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to the 484 again. 484, what up? Yo.
Yeah. Hey, what up, RB?
What up, man?
Nothing much, man. This is Los from Jersey, but
Los, what up?
Yeah,
man?
I'm a big fan of the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I was calling with a few points I had.
Yes, let's hear them.
Well, at this point, like the last caller said, I'm the biggest optimistic fan there is, but it seems like with James Harden, I have no faith in James Harden. His history and his resume speaks for itself. The guy never shows up in the big moments. And it seems like Joel's been taking a few notes from Harden's playbook. It's not just a step back three, but Harden, he gets to the rim and it's like he has no touch to finish. He just throws the ball up in the air and he's just waiting for the foul call. And I see Joel doing the same thing. It's like you're the biggest guy on the floor and he gets to the rim every time and he's just throwing the ball in the air. It's like he has no touch.
I just found it very interesting in the playoff series that, when it got down to it in crunch time, like there was no aggression. Like there was like limping, walking down the floor. And once the Celtics went to the double big lineup, the Sixers did nothing to counteract it. And it's not even like Joel tried to even get fouls anymore. He literally just sat on the perimeter and said, all right, I'll let whatever happens. I don't like that. I didn't like that mentality.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these guys are like too emotional or something. I mean, when you look at players like Jimmy Butler and, a handful of other guys around the league that play with intensity, fire, they got that killer mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it in James and I don't see it in Joel either. And it's a shame because I've been a huge Joel fan, but, and on another point, I definitely don't want to re-sign James Harden. I'm hoping we could get something in return for him.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Daryl Morey could redeem himself, do a sign and trade, and maybe get some assets in return. And with Joel, if we can't get a true alpha dog to put next to him,
mm-hmm.
I'm kind of at the point where, again, the same thing. I'd rather just blow it up and do a trade with him. I don't know exactly what we could get.
For Joel?
Memphis, they got a little bit of turmoil.
You're saying for Joel?
Yeah. And New Orleans, they have the whole situation with Zion as well. I think the situation with Zion, I really don't think he wants to be in New Orleans, so he's just not giving any effort. I think it's a maturity thing, and he just doesn't want to be there. I would not be opposed. This is a hypothetical I've been thinking up in my head, but, maybe something like Joel to Golden State. Golden State sends Moody, Kuminga, Poole, some other picks or something. Hot to to Memphis or New Orleans and John Morant or Zion to Philly. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. It would give us a nice piece, to be competitive now and also start, rebuilding around. But, yeah, I'm definitely with that. If we can't get a killer alpha on the court to put next to Joel, not Houdini frauding, an actual alpha, I think we would be better off just blowing it up.
All right. Appreciate the take, man. I like it, though. I like it. You're thinking. Someone's finally thinking. I like it.
Yeah, and, had we kept Jimmy Butler, we probably would be possibly competing for a second chip by now.
Don't remind me,
let
man.
Jimmy walk.
We would be in the chip. Sixers would have a finals with Jimmy and Joel. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I think like I said, we very well could be competing for a second chip by this point. But
yeah,
we let him walk. If we can't get a second true alpha next to Joel, then just blow it up. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Hey, Los, appreciate the call, man.
Absolutely, man. You keep doing your thing, and I'm gonna keep watching stream. And I'm watching daily. But yeah, keep doing your thing, man.
Appreciate that. Great caller, man. You can rate that call in the chat, man. 1 to 10. 10 being that was the most facts you've ever heard. 1 being that was the worst call I've ever heard. I think like someone finally proposed some different things. Like there's been a couple games this year where the Sixers, they didn't have like Embiid, Harden in. They were playing fast. They were playing quick. It seemed like a lot of people enjoyed those games. Like they were just fun to watch, Maybe you go with a double backcourt star tandem and just play as fast as possible if you were to ever trade Joel. Like I said, though, I don't think they're going to trade Joel. I think from Daryl Morey's comments, it kind of made it seem like we're going to try to go in and retool this thing. The question is, though, if you do that and you don't succeed, right? Say you go in next year, maybe Embiid's banged up and you get to the first or second round, you get knocked out again. Then what? Has Embiid lost any value? And then after that, does Embiid ever request out of Philly? I don't know if I could see him requesting out, but does he ever reach the point where he's like, all right, get me out of here? Because then he loses a lot of value. Kohler was talking about Embiid's value. Let me tell you something. You look at Rudy Gobert, KD, Sixers could get at least 5 first-round picks for Embiid. At least. I'm seeing 4 or 5 first rounders, couple players. That would be the ideal trade package. So that's my take on that. We'll go 2 more rapid fire, and then we'll get close to shutting it down. By the way, did you guys see this rumor as well, man? I thought this was hilarious. This was on Twitter today. An NBA executive pegging Doc Rivers as a sleeper candidate for the Milwaukee Bucks coaching job. Apparently, Doc Rivers still wants to coach. Sixers Bucks Eastern Conference Finals 2024. Oh man, Giannis is going to skedaddle at that point. Doc Rivers of the Bucks, get me out of here. Get me out of here, coach. Oh, that'd be great, man. That'd be great. $5 super chat from Sud. He says, fun fact, Philly's G League team, the Delaware Bluecoats, won the championship before the Sixers or Eagles. Props to them. I mean, this year they did, yeah. This year. Shout out to the Bluecoats. A lot of good players down there. Yeah, they've been in the championship a couple years. It was a tough year in Philly sports, I'll tell you that. Losing 3 championships and then the Sixers being the Sixers. It was tough. It was tough. $5 super chat from Mr. 89. Says, Harden, it was real. It was fun. It wasn't real fun. 34, mentally feeble, foul baiting by. Got me hoping Maxey learns from winners, not foul baiters. Bringing the fire. Shout out to Mr. 89, man. I could feel the frustration through that. I could feel the frustration. Let's see if anybody's got some energy left, man. Let's go back to the phones, get a couple more in here, rapid fire. Let's go to the 443. 443, what up? Yo,
RB, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, man. Who's on the line?
This is Hassan from Baltimore, man. How you doing today?
Hassan from Baltimore. What's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Look, I'm gonna try to be as realistic as possible because I heard some of these callers and it had me thinking like, man, y'all play 2K too much. But here, this is my suggestion, and I'm only thinking if we do not keep James Harden. So to answer your question, no, I don't think James Harden is worth a max deal to start off.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we're all in agreement. All of us Sixers fans were in agreement. Tobias Harris is the first piece that needs to go because he's getting paid too much money.
Heck yeah.
So my first thought is you re-sign Jalen McDaniels. Jalen McDaniels and his versatility can take over a possible power forward position. You trade Tobias Harris to the Detroit Pistons for Killian Hayes, the backup point guard. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
I'm familiar with him. You would have to include some more dead salary in there, which they could do. Maybe a Bogdanovich, but go ahead.
Yeah, you can dump him. You can dump Tobias, maybe another player possibly. You can get cash consideration along with Killian Hayes. That's a realistic trade. Killian Hayes, he averages about like 11 points per game. He's got good size, good athleticism, and he's a willing defender too. And especially for a team that's got all these guards but not enough forwards, that will actually be a good idea for us, pretty much, is what I'm thinking. And Killian Hayes also averages about like 6 or 7 assists a game. I don't trust Maxey enough as an overall distributor or a floor general. I feel like he hasn't had the opportunity long enough, but even when he did play, he didn't show that much of a development when it came to the his floor distribution portion of it. And last part, I would like the Sixers to possibly consider Harrison Barnes. So that way you can have a Jalen McDaniels, a Harrison Barnes playing small forward, power forward. Put P.J. Tucker on the bench. You're more athletic. You have the experience. You can rebound. You can guard. And you can still shoot the three. What do you think about those ideas?
I mean, I hear you. I like Harrison Barnes, definitely. I think McDaniels could definitely develop given time. I hope they re-sign him. The Killian Hayes is a no for me. I think you got to get another star level player in here, probably, if you want to be a championship contender. But I do think you're right in that they need to get better. They need to get more athletic, and they need to get quicker. And you need to put the right pieces around Joel Embiid. It would be pretty funny to dump Tobias back to the Pistons, but I think they got to go out and get another guard. I agree. I don't know if Maxey's there yet. I don't know if he's ready to take that step. All you could do is experiment and find out. But I think they need a lethal wing, and I think Harrison Barnes would at least be a decent fit.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, I think we all know the Sixers do not have enough ammunition to trade for another star caliber player right now. See, not Tobias Harris, James Harden, we kind of compromised. We're compromised right now with this situation. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What you're going to give him? What you're willing to give him? And I'm thinking at the very least, like somebody like Killian Hayes, who's only 21, who's already developing to the point that he's a double-digit scorer, and then overall as a team, Maxey could possibly take the step of being or evolving as the scorer and possibly be an all-star next year, but more so just the shooting guard position or so. And then everybody else is a co-contributor. Everybody's playing the role. So when you're talking about passing, swinging the ball, moving the ball, playing that type of offense, like what you said, you're seeing other teams play, to what you said with like Jokic and the Nuggets are possibly playing, it's probably a better idea to have a bunch of selfless players rather than a guy that's going to dribble the ball out or like another ball-dominant guard, if that makes any sense to you.
Hey, I hear you, man. And I do understand, and I appreciate the take, man. I appreciate the call as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. You have a good one, all right?
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Made some valid points. I do think Harrison Barnes would be a nice fit. I don't think he could put you over the top. However, the one thing that I don't know, and nobody else has really mentioned this. I mean, I said it earlier in the show, but again, this like moving the ball around, being a quicker team, like, can you do that with Joel Embiid? Like, how is that going to fare? How is that going to look? That's my thing. That's my thing. Like, is Joel that type of player? Joel's a damn great player, but is he able to play that way? I think he's got to shed some weight. And, you know, obviously he's got to knock it down at a high clip, but I mean, Joel just hasn't played that way, you know? Like, Joel's so dominant down low, and that's where the big question of, can you build around a center like Joel Embiid come into play? So we'll see, man. $2 super chat from LeBron James. He says, should have just let Shake Milton play. Shake Milton had many opportunities, and failed. He failed. Shake Milton, I thought at one time was going to be a pretty good player, especially off the bench, and he just never fully took advantage of opportunity. He's a very streaky player. Once in a while, he'll come in, give you a couple stretches of quality games, and then he just fades away. So I'm off the Shake. I'm off the Shake train, man. We'll go one more on the line, man. Let's go. Rapid fire. Let's go to the 813. 813, what up? Yo.
Hey, how we doing? I need to start with a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you think there's a coach out there that Embiid would respect enough to change his game? Meaning, put him in a dunker spot, make him focus on defense, really make him a center.
Make him a center? I mean, I think he plays like a center a lot of the time, but I think the problem is that, you know, he's got to be in shape to play another way. Is there a coach out there? Absolutely. There's coaches out there that I think could, you know, transition his game a little bit, but does he want to? Like, he is such a dominant player at what he does. Would he buy into that? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point of my question is there someone who he respects enough where he would follow that?
I just don't know if it's possible.
I would hate to see Joe go. You can't blow up the team. The reason being, you trade them somewhere, we're going to get their picks. We're going to have terrible picks after that because whoever he goes to is going to be a great team. We don't have picks of our own where if we're terrible, we get great picks after that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough point you're at. You know, you got to make a huge decision. I mean, Joel's just such a great player, and he can do a lot of different things, and he's definitely added to his bag. Like, he can play like a guard in a center's body, or he can go down low, but the problem is you need the exact fit around him. You need those exact type of players, and then when you get to the playoffs, you know, how's he going to fare? So it just hasn't worked.
Well, that's why I don't want to hear the term playoff PJ anymore. He was a huge liability. If you have someone who's not going to be guarded, doesn't have to be covered, and you have Joel in the center, the same thing's going to happen. Joe's going to do that dribble when he's in the center of the court. He's going to try to go in. Someone else comes in, scoops the ball from him.
I mean, I'm right there with you.
A couple callers ago said, I hate how Joe finishes. He just goes for the foul and doesn't try to finish, just like Harden. They're 100% right. I don't want to see Harden back.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you got to look at the options out there, but I think you have to make the decision about what direction you want to go in as a franchise. I think that's first and foremost.
Well, it's got to start with coaching. And before, I never thought that big about NBA coaching, but after 3 years with Doc Rivers, it makes you realize we played Boston, who was a better team than us. But even though I don't like Doc, I think we had better coaching. Just more experience, was better coaching than what Boston was giving. Otherwise, Boston would have just mollywopped us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and also Tatum was playing historically bad for a couple games.
And that's where their depth and everything else helped them is, you know, you had to guard 1 through 3, maybe 1 through 4 with us, meaning our top 4 players. With them, it was 1 through 7. So as soon as you put a bunch of people on Joe, he didn't have anybody to really kick it out with. I love Melton, but he was not shooting these playoffs.
Yeah. He didn't
He's not,
really live up.
playoff experience. We don't have that guy. And obviously that's what everybody says. We need an athletic rebounder who can shoot some threes. It's a great formula to want, but is it really there for us? I mean, step one is to get rid of Tobias Harris. It's just so much money on a player that's his height yet doesn't get rebounds. Offensively rebounding, we need to fix it. And the answer is Joe. We have someone there who can do it, but we need to get him out of the perimeter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the style of play. Like, again, I think that Joel can play like a guard or he can play like a center, but when he plays like a guard, he needs the right fit of personnel around him, and Sixers just don't have that. Like you said, when he's driving, kicking, the guy in the corner has to be relied on to consistently knock down a shot, not take one dribble and pump fake and pass it up. So, yeah, you got to make some decisions. It's not
even that person needs to make that shot. He needs to respect it to give him the spacing. Otherwise, it's just a collapse on him. He's getting better at passing, but if the players don't respect who he's going to pass it to, it's just that much harder for him to do it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So hopefully they figure it out. But I think big decisions are coming for this franchise. And I think what they're going to try to do is kind of retool it around Joel. So we'll see how it works.
It's the only way to do it is like getting rid of them. I just feel like you get some picks, you get some players, you're going to be a first-round knockout instead of a second, third-round knockout where we might be able to, really have a chance. I think you have to have a superstar. Maxi's not a general. His passing has gotten a little bit better at the end of the season. He learned a lot from Harden. I never saw Maxi take a step back till Harden got there.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to develop.
Maxi learned a lot from him. His offense developed. But I don't think the passing's there. I don't think it's going to be there necessarily this next season. I don't really think he can be that guy, but he can be a guy who, if he develops a mid-range, I think he can do that quicker than his passing. He could be very lethal for us.
I hope so, man. Hey, appreciate the call.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I don't think I'm full out on just trading Embiid. I think, again, you have to evaluate what you're going to do coaching-wise first, and then you have to decide whether you're going to bring back James Harden. But, if you want Embiid to play like a traditional center in the block, then you have to put the exact type of pieces around him, right? Like Jokic plays like a point guard, and they have the right players surrounding him. So, yeah, it's a lot of tough decisions that come, man. A lot of tough decisions. We'll have to see how it plays out, man. But at the end of the day, I hope that Daryl Morey does not give James Harden a max contract, and I hope that he doesn't bring D'Antoni to the Sixers. I don't want to see that. I want to go in a different direction. I do think Joel will learn. I do think this will motivate him, but you blew a couple big opportunities, and a lot lies in the balance right here. You got to decide, do you want to retool and go all in, or do you think the best decision is to kind of kick back and, maybe restart a little bit? So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out, man. Shout out to everyone in the show. Hit the like button, subscribe. Shout out to all the callers. I know we had a lot more on the line. Couldn't get to everybody, but we will continue to do these shows, man. A lot to talk about, a lot of coverage. And as always, we will be breaking it all down for the people. Go get your Manta Sleep Mask Pro, man. Shout out to Manta Sleep. Go down to the description, click the link, go check out their website. Use promo code PhillyTake. Get 10% off your order. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Let me ask you this before we get out of here. Confidence scale 1 to 10. Confidence scale 1 to 10. How confident are you in this offseason in terms of things being handled the best way possible, correctly? 10 being the most confident, 1 being the least confident. There's literally people on both sides of the spectrum right now. I don't know where I fall yet. What do you guys think, man? Will the Sixers turn it around? Will they be able to get better players in here, figure some things out, and get rid of the dead weight? What do you think? $5 super chat from Bryant Reed. He says, pair Joel Embiid up with Pascal Siakam. I mean, it sounds nice, but how do you make that happen? How do you make that happen? Are they taking James Harden? Are they taking Tobias Harris? What are they doing for that? Because I think Siakam showed that he's not nearly a number 1 star. You could argue if he's a number 2 or not, but got to be able to make these things happen. So, yeah, we got answers all over the place. All over the place, man. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. Shout out to the channel members. Shout out to all the callers. Thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. We have a lot more coverage coming. We're going to be doing a piece soon talking about our potential coaching replacement. Who would we pick? Why? And we will evaluate that and a whole lot more coming up. So appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Once again, Philly Take with RB, James Harden, Daryl Morey, Joel Embiid. A lot to get into, a lot to talk about. It's going to be an interesting offseason, man. Going to be an interesting one. Appreciate everyone that came through to the show. As always, like, subscribe, comment, follow us everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, join the Discord. Tap in, man. We're bringing the content. You guys have a great night. Catch you on the next one. Peace.